Welcome everyone to the BugBase podcast. In this podcast, as you all may be knowing now, we're talking with industry professionals, guys who are veterans in the cybersecurity industry, learning from their experiences, learning from their education, learning from their past, and trying to utilize that into our future. Today we have with us Tamaghna. Tamaghna is the founder of DataSecure. He has over 20 plus years in cybersecurity. He also holds the certifications that everyone keeps talking about, like OSCP and CEH both. And of course, he has been working in education as well, being an advisory member at GIET University, and 100 other things I can talk about. But I'd like Tamaghna to just introduce himself in one go, right? If you can, Tamaghna.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here, Dhruva. Yeah, so it's really a privilege, I would say, to be here and happy to be part of your journey. So yeah, about me, as you can see, obviously, I would love to say I have a lot of gray hairs, but obviously there's no hair, so that's not I can say. But yeah, in the industry for quite some time, almost 2 decades now. I've been working in enterprises predominantly. Before I started my entrepreneurial journey, so I worked in companies like ThoughtWorks, PayPal, PwC, Walmart, eBay, etc., etc. Mostly looking after the security and also I started my career as a developer. So I was a developer and then become a cybersecurity expert later on. And yeah, 7 years back, I've started my first company, which is still going on. And then DataSecure is my second venture, which we've been running for 2 years. In fact, yeah, so we're just completing 2 years this month. So it's been 2 years we're running this journey. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you
the
so
two
much.
years. I think
Yes.
BugBase on our own will be hitting 2 years in about in some time, so we'll be
Okay.
celebrating that soon. But let's get started with your background, Tamaghna.
Hmm.
Very curious to understand how you actually got into the space of cybersecurity, because as I just heard, you were a
Hmm.
developer before, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
many people in this who watch this podcast have a different background. Some guys are doing security since school, some guys are
Hmm.
developers and then get into the space. What
Hmm.
was your push to actually take up security as a full-time profession?
Nice. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, this is a very interesting story. A lot of people, I don't know if you're familiar with the term called accidental entrepreneur. A lot of people used to call that like that. So that way I said I probably want to call myself I accidentally become a cybersecurity expert. So what happened is, as I said, I was a developer and I still write code even today, day to day basis. I love coding. That's like something I'm very passionate about. I've been doing coding, different platforms in those days like Java, .NET, Ruby on Rails. Then eventually, in fact, I even coded in Fortran. I don't know if you guys have heard about it or not. COBOL and Fortran also. so,
Yeah, COBOL,
so
Fortran, and R long back,
yes,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So those things also we used to do. So I've done different platform, different technologies I worked on. Now, what happened is one of the company when I was working on, there was a project came in where there was a device and it's supposed to kind of send some there's some data is going into the device and and it is actually there's a software which is embedded into the device and it's doing some processing and supposed to give me back some data. Now there was no documentation available for that entire project. That what kind of what I'm talking about the days where JSON wasn't there. There was no REST API and nothing, right? Purely RPC kind of communication was happening. So the thing is, there was no documentation about what kind of format I should send the data. Data was going into TCP packets and stuff like that. So the only way our project manager said that why don't you start a packet sniffing tool like Wireshark, capture all the packets and understand how the data format is format of the data is going into the device and coming back, and from there you try to understand that your data kind of structure. So I started doing my packet capturing in my office, and what happened is it was obviously a kind of a open network those days. Router was a switch, was not there. So eventually, I ended up capturing a lot of clear text passwords of different users who were trying to log in to their devices. And that kind of made me very suspicious that what is this, and then is it like I've seen hacking in the movies and all these things. It looks like very complicated, but does it look like so easy? It is just so simple that you can just run a tool and capture this thing. So that made me very intrigued about this domain, and that's how my journey started. I want to learn more about security. Okay, what exactly causing this problem, how to fix and all this. And those days obviously there was not much people were there, so eventually we kind of went out to different conferences and find out similar like-minded people who want to learn security, and we sort of created our own group, and then learned from together. So that's how my journey started, which is actually an accidental capture of some clear text protocol
No,
and passwords I
extremely
kept
interesting,
keeping on.
Tamaghna. It's
Right.
always interesting to know how people got started in the security space, because
Hmm.
I believe security on its own has no clear paths to get into it, right? I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
engineering, developer, of course, you can directly get a degree, but
Right.
everyone we speak to about the security journey, it's always
Hmm.
extremely different.
Right.
So, that's always great to know, Tamaghna. And you've been a developer before, we both know, right?
Hmm.
If you've been a developer, you become a better hacker, right? Um,
Right.
because of course, how the backends work. You, of course, would know better how you would break them as well. Now I'd like to ask you a question regarding certifications. If
Hmm.
you open your LinkedIn, you flex a lot of certifications, OSCP, CH,
Right.
RHCE,
Right.
7, 8 other certifications, right?
Hmm.
And now you're a veteran who is, of course, have your own company. I don't think certifications matter much to you anymore. But
Right.
in your entire journey, which certification do you
Mhm.
think helped you out the most career-wise? And which one would you recommend now for a
Right.
youngster to take up?
Right. So, okay, there's two part of the question. First part is what I would recommend and what I prefer or what helped me, right? So first I'll go to the first question, which is what helped me. And in terms of help also, so when I did certification, there were two reasons for that. One is, as I said, when I started, there was no structured learning. There was not enough kind of, in the community also not enough data points available or tutorials available. So for me, and again, it's a personal opinion, I thought that doing a certification would, at least one certification will help me to do a structured learning, so that when I don't know anything and I don't have anybody to guide me, let's go through one structured learning process, so that at least I get familiar with the journey and understand the terminologies, the modules, and the concepts and everything, and then I can kind of do my own branching out on my own passion and what I want to do. Someone want to do network, you can do it. So my that's why I think those days CH was very common, and it's actually a holistic. It talks about application security, network security, and everything. So I kind of picked up that just to start. However, on a personal level, if you ask me in terms of learning and where I actually extensively learned about this offensive security and gained the knowledge, what was OSCP? Undoubtedly, it was OSCP, because on those days, and nowadays I think similar kind of lot of other certifications available, but I think those days that was one of the very unique course where it was hands-on. It is, although there is a theory, but entire example, the exercise and the exam was like pure play hands-on, where you have to crack a server, get into a root privilege, capture some sensitive data out of it, and then submit a report, which is exact simulation of how probably an hack will happen, right? So that's where, from a hands-on point of view, that was kind of helped me out a lot. However, there is other aspect of certification, which is the career and recognition, right? So from a HR point of view, because a lot of time, whenever if you think it as an employee, as a career progression, a lot of time your profile is getting shortlisted by non-tech people, right? Let's say HR people, right? HR people, and they look for specific keywords. Now, again, as I said, now things might be different, but when I was there, that time CH was a very commonly used keyword to find security experts and those days. So, in terms of career, in terms of recognition, obviously, those CH was more popular than OSCP, but OSCP was the more hands-on training. However, at this point of view, if you ask me, I would always recommend do a certification like OSCP. There are similar other where it is extensively lab-based, extensively hands-on, and even the final exam is not a MCQ or multiple choice question, but somewhere where I actually have to do, apply your skill sets and actually do some, work in terms of CTF, in terms of, hacking a server like that. So any hands-on based certification is always preferable, when I am right now looking for somebody to hire.
No, interesting, interesting. I think that's very true. I think, in the past you mentioned that CH being, something that everyone is recognizing. So I actually went through a very similar journey as yours, got a CH and then
Hmm.
I got an OSCP.
Hmm.
CH was exactly because of the fact that, it's a bit well known. Some, government organizations, of course, recognize
Right.
it. And OSCP was, of course, extremely hands-on and still
Hmm.
one of the most challenging exams I've given till date. Um,
Hmm.
so right now, you would recommend anyone to get any certification that has a hands-on experience with it, and based on which you can basically go ahead and hire them. But
Correct.
in
So,
general, I'm also feeling that offensive security and OSCP in general still has a better reputation than the other vendors in the market who are kind of pricing themselves,
yes.
in a different way, and are also getting those. You require to give the certification again after some years. So that is a bit
Right.
looked down upon in the industry, from what I understand. But OffSec is still, I think, not going into that rabbit hole, and I hope it stays that way.
Yes, yes. And also just to add to that, I think most of the companies nowadays, and because they do their own exercise, like I see a lot of company when they were hiring, they actually want you to do a sort of a CTF where you have to, access to the lab, break their boxes and everything. So unless you have that experience, it doesn't need to be a certification, but you have to have a hands-on experience, pure play, and then that will help you a lot to, crack those exam, interviews to get a job.
Completely agreed. I'll go to the next question now, Tamaghna. As you know, we've been discussing for a while, and as of course, DataSecure has been positioning themselves as well. You guys are getting a lot into Web3 security now. I'm curious to understand, why that is so. What do you feel about the Web3 security market, and why are you positioning your company to be more inclined towards that side?
Got it. So, see, the Web3, obviously, so that another thing which I'm very passionate about is emerging technologies. So, because throughout my career, majority of the jobs I have done was mostly research-oriented jobs. Now, I started my career, in a government organization also in the past. So basically, most of the time I did a lot of innovation, a lot of R&D kind of work, engineering. So anything which is new, which is upcoming, which is emerging technologies always excites me a lot, where I see that, okay, this is something new happening. I want to learn and see that what exactly you can do there. So one of the reasons for me to do this, obviously, number one is it was very emerging technologies, and then eventually, that's the Web3 is the next thing, right? And the next big thing, which is people are actually, transitioning thing. Now, in how many years it will happen, or whether it's completely, fully good with transitions, that I don't know. But eventually, the adoptions are happening. I see a lot of people are actually moving towards that direction. So that way, as a technology, it's something new. It's more complex, more entertaining in terms of intelligence, in a complex kind of issues. So that's what get me excited. And second is anything which is new cause chaos. Right. So there is something which is stable and suddenly you introduce a new concept, right? And there will be a lot of things because there are two kind of set of, mindset of a perspective will come. People who don't want to make a change, like, there is something which is already going on, as expected, as good, there's no issues. So nobody want to disturb that. However, there is some disruptive kind of mindset also. They want to say, okay, no, although it is going on as expected, but there is always a scope for improvement. So the moment there's a chaos, obviously there will be a lot of kind of confusions, and the moment of confusion, there will be a lot of incidents. And when it's incident, it could be security, it could be like that. So we've been observing that that's the kind of data breaches, the kind of hacks that are happening in Web3 is pretty much going on a higher side, right? It's growing over the year, and stakes are higher there. Like, for example, if you talk about a Web2 hack, it could be not directly into money. It could be like some sort of reputational loss. It could be some sort of, maybe a non sensitive data disclosure. However, in the moment a smart contract get hacked, you're directly talking about like millions of dollars is getting lost. So stakes are high there, right? However, I see that there is not enough maturity in terms of security because this is a new technology. People are now learning this development and implementing technologies. Security has come a little later. So then what is now yet to actually go there? So I see there's a huge gap. So these are the two things which excited me a lot in terms of, I see this is emerging technology, this which is very close to my heart, and I love to work on that. Second is there's a gap which something we as an industry expert can come in and we can see that how we can fulfill it, not by myself, but can we create another set of experts in this space, right? Can we actually help others to mentor and guide and become more expert in terms of security so that we can fill that gap together?
No,
So
that's
that's what
amazing.
made
You've
me,
spoken like
yeah.
a true, passionate entrepreneur, wherein of course you have the
Thank
skill
you.
as well, and you can fill in a complete gap. But Tamaghna, you also do agree that there are several competitors in the market, right?
Right, right.
And especially in the Web3 security space, many people have seen this as an identified gap. What is your target as DetaSecure to become geography-wise the most dominant, or in a particular technology? How do you expect to, go over the competition, or do you suppose you'll be living alongside everyone else?
So again, my and that's again my personal philosophy. What I always say to everybody that I don't want to whenever there's an opportunity, instead of competing, I want to complement you. So what does that mean is, first of all, there is a problem statement which is big enough for all of us to actually solve together and survive. And if there is a willingness as founders, as entrepreneurs, there's definitely we can see there would be somewhere we can complement each other because we come from different background, different pedigrees, different experience level. So there is a lot to learn from each other. It doesn't matter, okay, who is senior, who is junior. It's always we as a founder solving different set of problems, and there will be overlaps at times. There will be also complementary, set which we can complement each other. So, so the approach which I'm trying to do is three ways. Number one is obviously I am reaching out to other players in this space and say, if you are open, let's sit together, figure out what is you're doing, what I am doing, and is there any way we can collaborate so that we can together solve the bigger problem statement, at a scale, globally. Maybe someone is in the Europe, I am in India, and let's do it together so that both the geography we can together solve it. Number two is what I'm trying to do is, my vision with this company is I want to create more subject matter expert into the Web3 security space, which means that we're trying to promote heavily a lot of workshops, a lot of trainings, a lot of community kind of, led kind of, workshops and talks kind of thing. So one part we're definitely trying to go with different communities and see that can we promote Web3 security and, help people to understand if you're building a project, why it is important for you to think about security first and build it. And also for career option point of view, think about if you're a blockchain developer, why don't you learn security and become a smart contract auditor along with that? So education is another area we're looking at. And third is obviously the audit as a service is there, but I think there is, as a developer, always, we get excited about automation. So how do you automate? How do you create different tools, like, dev tooling aspect, and different tools, plugins, which can help developers and people, to do audit much faster and a better, not even better, but at least faster or a more productive way. So that way, it's a three angle. One is the tooling, one is the education, and third is working with in collaboration with other partners or other players in the ecosystem. See that can we globally solve this problem.
No, I think that sounds like a good strategy going ahead, and I think you have many things in place. I'll move on to another question now. Generally a lot of security engineers aren't familiar with what happens at a management level, right? So that's always something very interesting. And one thing that many people are extremely confused about is what is vCISO, right? So vCISO is something that I believe has started coming in very recently, and many vendors have started offering that as a service. And I believe DataSecure also has that as an offering. I think the audience would be very curious to understand how that whole operation works. How do you interact with your company? What is, as a person who's temporarily there, what is your push in a company? How do you set budgets? How does that whole process work? If you can talk a bit about that.
Right. So first of all, I think what you need to understand is what is vCISO and why do I need a vCISO, right? So what is that mean? CISO is Chief Information Security Officer. Now vCISO is just I would say a fancy way of putting that you are having a security expert which working with you. However, the person doesn't need to be full time for you, because either you may not have enough budget, or probably some amount of constraint to hire experienced person who probably can is required to play that role in the company, or you may not have enough work, or probably enough kind of you don't need that much of bandwidth from that experienced person to solve that problem. So vCISO, and another interesting term is nowadays is fractional CISO. These are the two terms very common. So what people are doing is basically they're saying that, boss, you know what, so let's say as a startup, when you start, you probably not thinking about security, seriously. Now, let's say you reach to a point where you're having Series A, or probably, pre-seed or seed round kind of thing. You start thinking about security, but then you're very kind of hesitant to hire someone, because you think that, okay, I may not have enough work, or may not have enough budget, which I want to spend at this point of time. Then you grow to the next big level, Series or Series B, and that is where you appoint a CISO or something. Now the question is, this gap is there. During this time, you're still selling your product, right? You're making revenue. You're actually handling data, which means you will be vulnerable if you don't have someone in-house is looking after security. So we're trying to say this could be a solution which you can come in and take it up as a temporary solution, so that you can add up security at an early stage without having too much pressure on your budget or your bandwidth. However, eventually, once you grow big, definitely will recommend to hire a full-time CISO, build a security team, and we can help you out on that. We can help you on recruitment, team building, and everything. So that's where we actually say it. And as I said, the objective here is basically how do I actually help you to adapt security at an early stage without constraining too much on your budget. This is what is the approach we are following right now. Now, what we do as part of that, we actually go sit with you, understand your requirement, and then create sort of a roadmap that what exactly the things bare minimum you need to do at this point of time, and what is the most cost effective way of doing it. That is the strategy part, the roadmap part. And once that has been built and agreed, then you actually implement that. That implement can happen either by your in-house team, if you have an engineering team, or it could be also outsourced to either our company or some other company who can do it for you. That is
So
the topic.
Tamaghna,
And
in
third and most,
general, these are built, sorry to interrupt you, by the
yes.
hour that you are committing to the company?
So it's basically, yeah, it could be like, sort of a hourly or retainer, you can say, which is basically we mutually agree that you need X amount of time on a monthly
Right.
basis. And this is the kind of charge for that will be there. Another interesting thing, which is, recently I actually been asked for is CISOs. Why CISOs are always important? Because there is another initiatives happening is, a lot of companies and sort of, getting mandate that, your board should contain a security expert.
Correct.
So when there's a board meeting happening, or probably when you're actually talking to your investors, right? You have to have also update on terms of security. How secure is your company? What kind of risk security posture is there? Or maybe when you're doing an enterprise deal, like a lot of time the vendor onboarding of, let's say, the Fortune 500 enterprise deals, they ask for you a lot of questions in terms of, have you done audit? How do you protect the data? Because you will be then taking data from those large enterprise companies who have probably sensitive data. So those kind of questions and all these answers, you need someone to be there to answer. Now, this CISO, vCISO also will have that kind of that module or that support also. However, there are some companies who are saying that, what, we would like to have you like a CISO on call kind of thing. Probably that can you guys, help us out on, whenever this kind of requirement comes, you can come with us and do, help us on call and, support us on those kind of things. But what we suggest that obviously CISO on call doesn't work because I have to be involved in the company. I have to understand your security posture and all those things. Without knowing that, I cannot say that you're secure, right? Because when I'm putting my reputation there, definitely it has to be there. I have to say that what I'm saying is correct.
It's not like the
So
cyber police you can call anytime, right? And just get all the
exactly right.
correct, correct,
Right.
correct.
So essentially, there are three layers. One is strategy. One is obviously answering to board or enterprises or other stakeholders. And third is actual implementation of the security roadmap for you. There are three aspects which happens
No,
as
that's
part of this
extremely
activity.
interesting, and I think everyone in the audience would be very intrigued by all of that, and hopefully they'll be working their way up in the managerial role as well, becoming vCISOs for other companies or even CISOs. I'll come to community as a final question. So you've been involved in several communities, and you've been an educational person as well. Null is of course a community that has connected both of us at NullCon. Can you talk a bit about your involvement with educating the community and how that whole thing has been, your involvement with the Null community, and what you're planning to do in the future with regards to community in cybersecurity?
Got it. Yes, sure. So yeah. So first of all, yeah, Null is something which just started, I think, 14 or 15 years back. And as I say, it was started when nobody was there. So we are all looking for people, where we can learn. So first thing, when how I got associated with this thing is, so I was looking for some other people who are into this space, whom we can discuss either as a peer or as a mentor, seek help from, or actually work together. So essentially those is not much there. So Null has started as a Google group, which is started by Asim, Murtuja, and Antariksh from Pune. And then from Bangalore, I think it was mostly me and Akash was there. We were like, two of us were started, and then eventually a lot of other people were there: Prashant, Sashi, Riaz, Anant, and all these guys. So so yeah, so basically we all started because we wanted to learn, and there was not much structured learning. So I said, I wanted to let's join as a group and pick up a topic, study together, and help each other to learn. That's how the Null has started. And yeah, to my surprise, obviously, eventually it grew a lot. So what we used to do, though, and we still do, like we do monthly meetups, where every month there will be a meetup on different chapters. So when we started, it was we are in Bangalore. We had a Bangalore chapter, and then there's a Pune chapter. But now we have chapters all over the world, I would say. We do monthly meetups where we talk about security in terms of presentations. All are volunteers, different people who do it, and everything is free. We also do like a kind of hands-on training where we teach people about let's say pick up a topic. Let's say smart contract security. That could be a hands-on workshop where there will be people who are interested. They can come in, and someone will be as a facilitator teach that. So that's how there are different activities happens. Trust. First of all, I would be very proud to say that I'm part of this community. I was very active earlier, but however, since I have my own startup, I'm not much active nowadays. But obviously, I'm still in touch with the kind of people who are there, the old timers. We always meet up once in a while and everything. But what I'm trying to say that all my learning throughout my career, majority of that happened because of this community. Right, so community played a key role in my life personally, and even in fact today also a lot of my friends who are entrepreneur, founder, as well as normal employees of different companies, a senior role, director or managerial role, all of us actually are good friends, and we connected because of Null only. So community has always been a good thing. It is not something you should let go. That's what I always recommend. And what I'm planning to do with this community is obviously, since as I said, I'm not much active, but definitely I'm trying to promote Web3 security as much as possible with this existing community of Null, as well as different other Web3 specific communities which I've been part of now. For example, like the different DAOs or the developers DAOs and stuff like that, where we wanted to promote more of a Web3 community, so Web3 security and all those things. So essentially, my vision right now is can we actually take a lot of this kind of Web3 security and other emerging, let's say, quantum security or AI security, and promote those kind of specific skills or premium kind of skill sets, and create more experts in the community through that. So that's what my ambition right now, which
No,
I
that's
wanted to
extremely
do as a
interesting,
first.
Tamaghna, and amazing on your end. It's coming back right to the first question, right? How you actually got started. I think that's common across everyone who works in the cybersecurity space, wherein community is the basis on which they have learned everything. And since there is no degree that's going to get you that information, or any kind of an alumni, which many people rely on at IITs, IIMs and all, to get their footing in cybersecurity, I think community in general is the way forward. And of course, you have of course been the pioneer in some of the earlier communities, and looking forward to the ones in Web3 as well. But that's a wrap, Tamaghna. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you had a good time. We were really enjoying hosting you.
Yes. Yes.
And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here. As I say, always happy to help, and would love to be see more of this kind of episodes, and learn from that also from other experts.
Thank you so much, Tamaghna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.